Hey, welcome back. Let's take a look at the stress disease hoax. Many people are talking about the stress causes disease, but most people don't know what the real process is that goes beyond that or that goes before that. And really understanding what is the process of life, how this entire stress disease is constructed, gives you a way more precise clarification to your client to how their life functions. Okay, let's dive in. In the past, when I was at home, I actually never got sick until it was Christmas time. I worked all year long and everything was fine. I get a small cough, but that was about it. But at Christmas time, I suddenly got sick. During the year, I had this feeling I did not have time to get sick. I don't know if you recognize that, but I was just going on with my life and I did not feel like I had the time to get sick. I was just continuing working. And I was fine. I didn't have any trouble with that. And during the end of the year, I always had some time that it was relax time, me time. And I went to my parents to stay there for a week, 2 weeks, just to hang out and to chill. And every year it was the same thing. Every year when I was there, I got a cold. I was in bed for a few days. I was sweaty. I was getting the flu or whatever. And I didn't understand that. Do you ever have such a thing that you didn't have time to get sick, and as soon as you took the time off, you got sick? So what is this? What I noticed is that when you don't have time to get sick, you actually don't get sick. There's also a famous or not so famous other example, which is called Montezuma's Revenge or the Delhi Belly. This is kind of a traveler's disease. You get a stomach issue as soon as you are on a holiday. This is not by definition meant to be the food that is causing it. Because what else is happening? You have a stressful time, life is continuing, you need to add some extra stress because you need to pack, you need to travel, you need to go somewhere. And as soon as you're there, you put your feet in the sand, you take your coconut drink, everything is fine. Suddenly you do get sick. How many of you did you ever experience that? And in my office, I met a lot of people that suddenly got sick and there was no clear connection between the previous time that was very stressful, the immediate previous time that was very stressful. So the entire stress creates disease is an entire hoax that many people don't really understand, because it's not the stress that actually creates that disease at all times. Yes, there is a connection, but the connection is not just as plain as most people say. Let's illustrate that with an example. And once you hear that example, you know exactly what I mean. Let's take a look at the marathon. Let's assume that you're a runner and you want to start running the marathon. Imagine that you are starting to prepare and you started to work out to really be able to do that marathon, and you walk up to the start and you're standing there waiting, and then you hear the signal and then you start running. And in the beginning, everything goes smooth and fine. And at certain points, things are getting harder and you need to dig down deep to get some more energy from you. And things getting harder, but it's tough, you continuing. and you don't have any feeling of hunger. You don't feel lifeless. You just feel like I need to run. You don't think of what groceries you need. You just think of running. Your heartbeat is racing. Your heartbeat is pounding. You just think of running. Your entire body and your entire mind is geared towards running and only running. You withdraw all your energy from places in your entire system that you don't need for running. Your digestion stops, your bone mass buildup stops, your lungs start working harder by dilating the bronchioles so you get more air inside. All physical processes that are not needed for running are not used. Oh. And then something happens. Then there's the finish line. You made it. So what happens next? Next is the parasympathetic nervous system. You get tired. You made it to the finish, and now it's time to catch your breath. Your heart rate is reducing. Your digestive system starts working again. You get hungry again. Your lungs starting becoming normal. You start thinking about other things than running again. And you'll probably be more tired than before you started running. And a day later, the muscle cramp starts, muscle bone ache starts, and these are all symptoms of your parasympathetic nervous system. During the running, your sympathetic nervous system was highly activated, meaning more activity. And after the running, your parasympathetic nervous system is more activated. Both are part of your autonomic nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system is your rest and relax system to rebuild. So now let's take a look at the symptoms that you developed. Tiredness after the marathon, muscle ache, increased stool production. So these symptoms, what caused these symptoms? If the stress caused disease was true, then the finish would have caused these symptoms, because that was just before the disease, just before the symptoms. And the finish does not cause these symptoms. Think of that. The finish did not cause these symptoms. So let's take a look at the entire process. The entire process, in this case, literally from start to finish. It's all about an adaptation process of the entire body. You see a diagram with two phases, number 3 and number 5, and 2 points, number 2 and number 4. Now, phase number 1 is just before the start. You're not running, you're driving up to the marathon, or you're sleeping, or whatever. The marathon had not even started. Number 2 is you hear the signal, you hear the starting signal. This is a split moment in time. A split moment that you hear the signal and you started running. You instantly start to become more activated to start running, to finish it. Then the entire number 3 phase, the active phase, is the adaptation of your body towards being good at running. So the body adapts itself, so it doesn't need to digest your food. It stops the digestion because that does not add to your running. It gives your lungs more air, so it can be more used for the running. It gives your muscles more energy, so you actually can run better. All your entire system is changed, adapted towards I need to be running. So then At the finish line, number 4, is the instant that you don't need to be running anymore. It's the finish. It's the aha moment, the sigh moment. And then the process is not over. Then the second part of the process starts. That's the adaptation again towards normal living. You cannot live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as if you were running. Your system needs to repair things that have been broken. Your system needs to rest after some activity. And that's what happens in the final phase in number 5, is your body adapts back to normal living. It's almost like you're a chameleon. A chameleon adapts to the surroundings. Your body is a perfectly attuned system to adapt to any situation that comes around. If your body needs running, it adapts to running. When it's no longer needed to running, it adapts back to normality. If your body needs to adapt to sitting in the train, whatever, it adapts to sitting in the train. If your body needs to adapt to I need to fight, then your body adapts to everything that's related about I need to fight. When the fight is over or you're safe again, your body adapts to normality. Like the chameleon, when it needs to adapt to red, it adapts to red. When it's no longer needed, that adaptation, it gets back to normal. The best example I can give you that is of the wrinkly hands. What happens when you sit in the bath or sit in the sauna for a prolonged time? You get those wrinkly fingers, right? All your fingers and hands all prune up. And they get wrinkly and they get more sensitive. This is actually an adaptation of your hands to the water. A couple of years ago, they did some research why your hands were getting all wrinkly. And what they noticed is with the wrinkly hands, you have more grip underwater. Almost as if your body adapts as being living under the water. And this amazing system of adaptation is looking at the surroundings, at the outside surrounding, at the inside surroundings. What do I need to do to change my body to best be able to cope with the current surroundings? Your wrinkly hands or your hands adapt to the water so it can live under the water and grip things better under the water. As soon as you get out of the water, your hands adapt back to normality, which is without the thick wrinkles. So you have a more solid and more sturdy outer skin or outer and inner skin. Because under the water, you have less chance of getting cuts than out of the water. So you're out of the water, your hands need to be solid again. So that's a very simple process, is how your hands adapt to the water, or how your entire body adapts to I need to be running. Everything in this case is an adaptation process. And when we look at the entire system again, the entire process, is you see the arrow going up, it's more activity than baseline activity. And when the arrow is going down, it's more of a resting activity. So during the day, you have more active, number one. During a normal day, you have more active stages and more resting stages. That you're more actively doing something or thinking of something and more taking a break. It goes up and down, it's only a little more active and a little bit more rest. Generally over the day you're a little bit more active. Generally during the evening or night you're also a little bit more rest. You're a little more relaxed. The sympathetic is the active system and the parasympathetic is the resting system. So now something happens that you need to start working on, that you need to do. Number 2, something just hits you, you need to be active. Then a highly elevated active phase starts. That's number 3. You start running. You start running. No relaxation, no break during the marathon. You start running. No break during a fight. You start fighting or running away. Doesn't make sense to keep a break. You need to get at the safe at the end, right? You need to reach the finish. At number 4, you feel like, I made it. Now I can relax. However, think of this. This can be the finish, but as soon as you reach the finish and there's a dog barking at you and running at you at high speed with his teeth all shown, you start running again, right? You get back into an active phase and you start running again. So number 4 is the moment that you feel like, I made it. That also is an instant in time. If you look at it into stress-related situations, number 4 is when you realize that you're safe or that the stress is gone. That can be at the moment that you hear the news that you're safe, or that can be a week later in any other situation that you suddenly realize, okay, now everything is fine. So if we look at the stress situation where number 2 is, for example, you hear you lose your job, and number 4 can be like, oh no, we're not going to fire you. It can be a week later that, oh my God, everything is okay. So it does not have to be directly related to number 2. So number 4 is the moment that you finish. And then the process of repair starts. In the blue phase, it's where you're more tired, when you're more resting, when you're more sitting, laying down, sleeping. And this is also where you get most of the symptoms. Because even that makes sense. It does not make sense that in the jungle, when you're running away from a tiger and you hurt your knee, they say, oh my God, tiger, wait, I hurt my knee. Please wait, don't eat me now. I need to take care of my knee. You don't feel the pain, you continue running until you're safe. And then your body starts repairing. And one of the things of the repairing phase of your body is, on a biological level, it starts to increase some edema at some spots that it needs to be healing. That edema is water that builds up and presses against nerve tissues. And that's what actually is the pain in most cases. So in most cases, the symptoms develop themselves or show themselves in the phase number 5, in the regeneration phase, when the stress is long over. Think of that. Number 2 is stress causes disease. No, it's not number 2. It's often number 4, when the stress is gone, that the symptoms develop, that the symptoms become noticeable. So when you start working with what happened in your life before the symptoms, not only look at stress moments, also look at moments that the stress disappeared, that the client felt like, I am safe. This is the 2 phases. You have a normal, nothing happened yet, number 1. You have a stress reaction, a stressor, something that increases, that startles you, that triggers you, that you now need to start adapting your body to. That's an instant moment in time. Then you have the entire phase where the adaptation process is going on. Then you have number 4, where you feel like, Now I am safe again. And then at number 5, your body starts adapting back to normality. Okay, let's do an exercise with that. The exercise is in the next video.
If you like this, you probably want me to make more of that. So share your insights, share your comments below, and what videos would you like to see?